A stickman figure sitting at a small cafe table lifts a cup of coffee, and watches a thin curl of steam rising from it suddenly bend downward and vanish back into the surface of the drink, the way smoke never moves, not in any direction a stickman figure has ever seen it move before. At the counter, a spoon of sugar lifts itself out of a cup and resettles into the bowl it came from, grain by grain, and the barista who just poured a coffee is now pouring it back into the pot, her own hand moving in a motion she does not seem to have chosen to make. Every clock in the cafe is running the same direction, and it is the wrong one, second hand sweeping backward in a slow, mechanical certainty that no one in the room ordered and no one can explain. Outside, the sun that was climbing toward noon a moment ago is now sliding back toward the eastern horizon it rose from, and a stickman figure checking the sky twice cannot make the second look agree with the first. The rule turns out to be simple and completely without mercy. Time itself has reversed, not just the clocks measuring it, and the newest moments are the first to come undone, cause and effect running in reverse through everything that only just happened. A signed letter on a nearby table lifts its own ink back off the page in fine reversing lines, the pen recapping itself, the stickman figure's handwriting erasing itself into blankness one stroke at a time, an hour of work disappearing backward in under a minute. A parked car a block away rolls itself backward out of its space and down the street the way it arrived, the driver's hands on the wheel making the same turns in reverse, awake and aware but no longer steering forward through their own day. By the end of that first hour, every stickman figure old enough to notice has noticed, and the ones who try to walk forward against it find their own most recent steps sliding back underneath them, the ground itself seemingly indifferent to which direction a person actually wants to go. A meal eaten 20 minutes ago reappears whole on a plate, chewed food reassembling itself in a stickman figure's mouth before being set back down, hunger returning as if the meal had never been a choice that stayed made. This is the first hour. Every hour afterward undoes one more hour before it. By the end of the first day, the morning's arguments are unarguing themselves, harsh words pulling back into mouths that never meant to keep them, apologies that were never given because the offense they would have answered has not technically happened yet in the order the day is now running. A bruise on a stickman figure's arm, still healing from a fall 3 days ago, darkens instead of fading, the fall itself now visibly approaching again from the wrong direction in time, an old injury sliding back toward the moment it was still new. Newly built things are the first structures affected. A convenience store that opened last month reverts to a construction site overnight, wiring pulling itself back out of walls, a sign coming down in careful reverse of however it went up. A recently elected official wakes to find the election that put them in office has not happened yet by the reversing calendar, an entire government position sitting empty because the vote that filled it is still somewhere in the future this backward day is sliding toward. By the end of the first week, the reversal has eaten an entire month, and every stickman figure who accomplished something in that month watches it come apart in the same order it was built, promotions unhappening, marriages unsigning their own paperwork, a full 4 weeks of ordinary progress erased from the world without asking anyone's permission first. A stickman figure who spent that month teaching a child to read watches the lessons unteach themselves in reverse order, the child's hard-won confidence sliding backward week by week, and there is no way to explain to a child why a skill they were proud of is quietly leaving them again. Farmland is not spared either. Crops harvested that month rise back up out of storage and replant themselves stalk by stalk into the fields they came from, shrinking backward toward seed, an entire season of food undoing its own growth while the stickman figures who depended on it watch a harvest reverse itself for the first time in the history of farming. Phones and networks built on months of software updates begin failing as those updates uninstall themselves in reverse, a modern life quietly reverting to an older, clumsier version of its own infrastructure while the stickman figures depending on it keep their memories of the version that is now gone. By the end of the first month, an entire year has folded backward, and the youngest stickman figures old enough to remember any of it are the ones most disoriented, an adult who spent that year becoming steadier in their own life instead watching that steadiness unhappen around them 1 week at a time. Elderly stickman figures are the most visibly changed, hair regaining color it had not held in years, posture straightening in ways no medicine ever managed, and the change reads as nothing like a gift, because the mind inside that changing body still remembers every year the body is now quietly giving back. Wars that ended in fragile, painful treaties are the next casualties, alliances unsigning themselves as the negotiations that built them slide back into the future, borders that took a generation to settle returning to whatever uneasy shape they held before, not peace regained, only a different, older uncertainty in its place. By the third month, roads paved within living memory revert to the dirt tracks underneath them, A highway a stickman figure has driven every day for a decade, turning, layer by layer, back into the same ground it was built from. Governments spend that month trying to govern a country whose recent laws are unpassing themselves in the middle of being enforced, a legal system built for a world where yesterday stays settled, finding no way to function in one where yesterday keeps quietly changing its mind. Hospitals built within the last few decades are among the structures now sliding backward toward their own construction, and a stickman figure who survived a serious illness there years ago spends every week afterward wondering, quietly, which piece of the building's slow unbuilding will be the one that finally matters to someone still depending on it. By the 6th month, structures older than anyone living were built stop being safe assumptions. A building that has stood in a city center for 80 years starts showing the first hairline cracks of an eventual demolition that has not happened yet in forward time, because forward time is no longer the direction this world is heading. Historians and record keepers, for as long as their profession survives being useful, note that the reversal shows no floor, no year it seems to be aiming for, only a steady, patient unwinding that has already swallowed more of recorded history than any stickman figure thought possible when the coffee cup first pulled its own steam back in. The oldest stickman figures alive have started doing arithmetic they do not say out loud, counting backward from their own birth year and finding the unwinding gaining on them faster than they would like anyone to notice they are counting. Nothing in this world settles anymore. A stickman figure can build something, finish it, feel it become real, and still watch it come apart in exactly the order it was made, because permanence was never a guarantee this universe made, only a direction it used to be polite enough to keep moving in. There is no version of this that corrects itself. The reversal does not slow down to explain what it is unwinding toward, and no stickman figure anywhere has found a wall it stops at, only more of yesterday, and more of the yesterday before that, patiently waiting its turn. Every stickman figure still capable of remembering forward time spends what is left of it watching a world that no longer agrees to stay finished, one undone day further back than the last, with nothing ahead of them anymore except the very beginning.